Before I begin, I just want to ask you all one question. Uh, how many of you know about what exactly is meant by the term application server? Or according to you, how you can try to define the term application server? What we are trying to do in the day one is that we are trying to introduce ourselves to the term application server so that we can know about what exactly is meant by JBoss application server. And in that particular process, since you all have little background on the term application server, I just want to understand what exactly is meant by the term application server.
Yeah, my understanding is about like application server. So in order to maintain that application, which we can able to deploy the application and process this application and maintains those records in this application server. So there can be some handling mechanism by the application server.
Okay. How about others? Kirti, Aditya, Divya. I just want to cross check myself. Did you log in with two from two systems, or is one is Divya and one is Aditya?
We are from the different machines.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm logging from my own machine.
Okay. I could. There was one person with the name without any name, so I wasn't sure who is this. So just trying to cross check. Cool. So yeah, coming back to my question, what is meant by the term application server? Okay, cool. Let me do a quick overview about or quick journey on the term application server. What we are trying to do here is that we are trying to understand or we are trying to introduce ourselves to the term JBoss application server. Okay, and believe it or not, whatever we are trying to discuss in today's session, I think someone has muted me. Is it? No, good. Thanks. Yeah. So believe it or not, in the current market, no one is trying to ask you the questions about what is meant by web server, what is meant by application server, differences between them. But there were days, I think around 6 to 8 years back, when you put your resume as an application server admin, the first question they used to ask is that, hey, can you try to define the term application server? Cool. Yeah. Just so coming back to my session, we are trying to introduce or we are trying to understand the term JBoss application server. If you want to know or if you want to get acquainted with the term JBoss application server, before you try to know about the JBoss, it's important for you to understand what exactly is meant by the term application server. How I can try to define the term application server, or how did the term application server got evolved. If you see the term application server was introduced into the market because of a server called as a web server with a servlet container. Okay, there was a server before the term application server was there, or before the term application server was evolved. There was another server by name web server with a servlet container inside it, and there were some problems. There were some disadvantages with that, and that's how the application server got evolved. Shiva, one question. What do you mean by a web server? If you want to understand what exactly is meant by the term web server, we have to understand what was the reason for the evolution of the web server or the application server. Before, the reason for the evolution of either the web server or application server was the Java J2W programming language. Before the Java was present as an programming language, before people started using the Java as a hardcore programming languages, people were developing all their applications, all their programs using using a programming language called as an scripting programming language. At any point of the time, if the developer wants to develop something, if he wants to develop an application, if he wants to develop a module, then the programming language which people were using before the Java JDW was your scripting programming language. The best example for that one would be your HTML. So before the Java was being ruling the market as a programming language, all the applications, all the programs that were developed using the scripting programming language. The scripting programming language, I mean to say HTML programming language. So anyone and everyone who wants to develop their applications, they used to use a programming language called as an HTML or the scripting programming language. Here, what is so special about the scripting programming language? The unique feature, the unique capability of the scripting programming language is that any application, any program, any module developed with the scripting programming language has a capability to generate or to get the static content. A small request, I'm not sure from whom, but here a little bit of background noise. By any chance, if you don't have a question, can I request you all to go on mute? Thank you. Yeah. So scripting programming languages are the programming languages. Okay. Any application, any program you develop using the scripting programming language has a unique advantage, has a unique feature, okay, has a unique capability that it can deliver static content. Again, one question might be that, sure, what do you mean by static content? The static content is nothing but anything and everything that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time is called as static content. Let me repeat myself. Static content, it's nothing but it's a content, it's a response that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. For example, let's say that you open the wellsfargo.com site. Okay, don't worry, I'm not working for the Wells Fargo. Yeah, I'm opening the wellsfargo.com site. The moment I open the wellsfargo.com site, certain content is there, which is a static content. For example, the logo of your wellsfargo.com site, the header and the footer of the wellsfargo.com site. Okay, the this is called as an header, and when you go down, you see the footer. So the logo of the company. Okay, believe it or not, almost all from 5 years, I see the same logo, I see the same header and footer. The text remains the same. Such kind of a content, such kind of a response, which remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time, we call that one as an static content. Your scripting programming languages had a unique capability that any application, any program you develop using the scripting programming languages has a feature of static content. Since these are also some programming languages, we need a server, we need a container to process the code. The server, the container that was used to process the code related to the scripting programming language is called as an file system handler. Anyone, any question? What we are trying to do? We are trying to understand the evolution of the web server, and from there we will try to understand how did the application server got evolved in the market. The reason for the evolution of the web server, or in fact the application server, was the Java programming language. When you go little time back before the Java was there was a programming language called as a scripting programming language. All the applications, all the modules were developed using the scripting programming language had a unique capability that it can deliver the static content perfectly fine. And we also know that static content is nothing but it's a response, it's a content that remains constant for a longer duration of the time or for an infinite amount of the time. Still more perfect. The server, the container that was used to process the code related to the files scripting programming language was called as an file system handler. But what does a scripting programming language will do? It delivers the static content. Hence, I can say that my file system handler is a server, is a container that is responsible to process the code and generate the static content. This one, I call it as my file system handler. Okay, what does the file system handler will do? It will try to process the code related to the scripting programming language and hence deliver the static content. Or in short and sweet, I can say that my file system handler is a container, is a server that is responsible to process the code and generate a response called as an static content. Clear? Not clear? Anyone? Any questions still here?
Example for file system handler.
File system handler itself is a concept. It's a concept.
Example like
It's a
concept.
concept. It's a concept. It's something like, how do I put it? Okay, let's say that you go to a sweet house and you say that, hey, I want to buy a sweet. So sweet is nothing but it's a concept. Okay, the flavors you're trying to say inside the sweet. Okay, like your whatever the rasmalai or rasgulla, what do you say? These are nothing but uh, the one you really experience it. Okay, so file system handler was a concept that was there. Okay, or in fact, if you are from the Java background, you can try to link this one as an applet. Okay, if you see the applet on the applets get executed on the client side on your browser. So the browser has an inbuilt capability to run that particular code related to the applets. So as of now, you can assume your file system handler as your applets. Did I answer your question?
Understand. So I would say like file system handler is nothing but a hard folder in a desktop system or a hard disk drive.
Could be. Good. Yeah. Anyone? Any more questions? Aditya, Kirti, Divya.
I'm fine.
No questions.
No, it's clear. Thank you.
Great, great. Thanks. And one more important point. Okay, when you try to go to the interviews, whatever you are trying to discuss in the session, don't try to deliver the same thing in the interviews. Couple of them have their own disagreements. I'll come to that questions also. Good. So this was how the programming market was there. Surely, Sun Microsystems, which is right now called as an Oracle, has introduced a programming language called as an Java J2EE. Okay, and as part of the continuous evolution, as part of the continuous development of the Java J2EE programming language, there were a couple of modules, there were a couple of important technologies that came into the market. One such important technology relevant to our discussion is the servlets and JSP. What is a servlet, Shiva? What is a JSP? What is so unique about this? Any application I try to develop using the servlets and JSP has a unique capability that it can not only deliver the static content, but it can also deliver the dynamic content. Shiva, one question. Static, we know. Anything and everything that remains constant. What do you mean by dynamic content? Simple example. I want to watch the live test match between India versus Sri Lanka. I open espncricinfo.com and click on live scorecard. I don't do any maintenance. Without me doing anything, automatically I get the updated scorecard. I have, let's say, 10,000 rupees in my account. I go to the ATM machine, withdraw 3,000 rupees. When I try to click on balance, it will show me the updated balance as 10,000 minus 3,000, which is equal to 7,000 rupees. So my updated balance, without me doing anything, it gives me the updated balance as the latest balance as 7,000 rupees. I try to see in my inbox that 300 emails. I try to read one email automatically without me doing anything. The unread email count goes to 2. I try to read another email without me doing anything. Automatically, the unread email count goes to 1. I try to read another email without me doing anything. The total number of unread email count goes to 0. How it is possible? It is nothing but it's a concept of dynamic content. So what happened? Obviously, compared to scripting programming languages, your servlets and JSP are much more advantageous, are much more advanced. So what happened? Now the developers started moving away from your traditional programming languages to servlets and JSP. But there is a problem. To process the code related to the file's scripting programming language, I have a server by name File System Handler. To process the code related to the servlets and JSP, as of now, I don't have a container or a server. So what happened? You might ask me a question, Shiva, why are we not using the File System Handler? The File System Handler has a unique capability that it can only generate the static response. How about the dynamic? Your File System Handler can't deliver that. So what happened? People started doing a lot of R&D to overcome the current problem. As part of their continuous research, they came up with a server. They came up with a container called as web server with a servlet container. Clear? Web server with a servlet container inside that. The unique capability of this web server with a servlet container inside it is that it can not only process the code and deliver the static content, but it can also deliver the dynamic content. Clear? Your servlets and JSP had a unique capability that it can process the code and not only deliver the static content, but it can also deliver the dynamic content. But when you try to open and see and understand what exactly is there inside your web server, the web server had two components inside it. The one was the traditional file system handler to process the code related to the static content. The other one was your servlet container to take care of anything and everything that is related to your dynamic content of your servlets and JSP. So when I deploy an application, when I deploy a code on my web server, okay, and if the request is made for some static content, then my file system handler would be invoked. If the request is made for some dynamic content, then the request will be made for your servlet container. Clear? Not clear? Anyone, any questions still here? Clear or all clear?
No doubts, sir. Yeah.
Cool. How about others? Any questions? Cool. Silence, I'll take it as no. But anyone, any questions? Please pause me up. Cool. So after the introduction of servlets and JSP, everyone was very happy. Developers were very happy, customers were very happy, companies were very happy because right now they can not only generate the static, but they can also generate the dynamic content. One fellow wasn't happy, called as Sun Microsystems company, which is right now called as an Oracle. They didn't stop their R&D just with the introduction of a servlets and JSP. They introduced couple of more technologies and new features. As part of that continuous evolution, they introduced another programming language called as EJB and RMI. What is this EJB and RMI, Shiva? The unique feature, the unique capability of your EJB and RMI is that they can not only deliver the static and dynamic response, but they also support in remote communication. Shiva, one question. What do you mean by remote communication? I'm sitting in Hyderabad, Telangana, and I'm trying to deliver a session to a couple of people who are there in Hyderabad, Bangalore, US, and other places. We are trying to do a remote communication. I try to create my email account when I'm there in Hyderabad. I try to go to UK, I try to go to Canada, I try to go to Singapore or Malaysia. Wherever I try to go, still I can access my email. How it is possible? Remote communication. So if you see your EJB and RMI, when compared to the serverless and JSP, the EJB and RMI had an added extra advantage that it supports the remote communication. So what happened? People started moving away from servlets and JSP to the EJB and RMI. Again, there is a problem. What was the problem? To process the code related to the servlets and JSP, I have a web server with a servlet container. But to process the code related to the EJB and RMI, I can't use my web server. Why like that? My web server strictly says that, okay, I'm an HTTP protocol dependent server. Any communication you want to do to me or any communication I try to do with you, I always use the protocol called as an HTTP or a HTTPS. But when I'm trying to do a remote communication, I need an ecosystem, I need an environment which is protocol independent server. Since your web server is a protocol dependent server, I can't use my web server to process the code related to the EJB and RMI. So what happened? People again started doing their continuous R&D. But now they not only thought about what is the current problem, they thought about two other additional things as part of their R&D. First one, the current problem. Second one, tomorrow some other new technology comes. How do I try to support that? Point number three, what are the disadvantages present in the current server? Keeping all these three important points, they continued their R&D, and as part of their continuous research, we have a server, we have a container called as application server. How do I define the term application server? An application server is a protocol independent server which has a capability to run the business logic and provide an extra security. The additional advantages compared to your web server in the application server is that it supports resource pooling, it supports security, it supports transaction management, it supports data sources. Like this, there are multiple other additional advantages present in the application server, unlike your web server. But when I'm trying to open the application server and see what exactly is there inside my application server at a very high level, okay, at a very high level, my application server had three important concepts. The first one was your file system handler to take care of anything and everything that is related to the static content. The next one was your The next one was your servlet container to take care of anything and everything related to the dynamic code of your servlets and JSP. And the third one was the EJB container to take care of anything and everything related to the EJB and the RMI code. And the third one, the third one was the EJB container to take care of anything and everything that is related to the EJB and RMI code. Anyone, any question still here? This is an architecture, not 100% architecture. At a very high level, this is how your application server will look like. Whenever you try to deploy some applications on your application server, and when trying to access the code, when you're trying to make a request, if the request is for some server JSP, servlet container will be invoked. If the request is for some EJB RMI execution, your EJB container will be invoked. In case if the request is for some static content, your file system handler would be invoked. Clear? Not clear? Anyone? Any questions?
Yeah, Shiva, this is Radha Reddy. I have one question. Yeah, HTTP protocol dependent service and protocol independent service. Can you please elaborate about these differences?
Sure. Protocol independent is nothing but, let's say that you're coming for a session with me. Okay, you say that Shiva, or let's say majority of you people say that Shiva, I don't like GoToMeeting somehow. Can we try to do one session using a WebEx? I'll provide you the URL. I'll provide you the necessary infrastructure for the WebEx. Can we do a sessions on the WebEx? If I say no, I'm a protocol dependent person. Okay, I strictly am abided to the web server. Sorry, your web GoToMeeting. Similarly, if you see a web server says that, okay, any communication you want to do to me, okay, or any communication I have to do with you, you're making a request, I'm trying to give you a response. For anything and everything related to the request and response, the protocol has to be the HTTP. When you try to access any website, how do you try to access it?
Hmm.
Some URL you'll be giving here.
Yeah,
Correct? So
correct.
any communication you're trying to do with a web server, it strictly says that it has to be either HTTP or HTTPS. I try to send you some response, it will again be either HTTP or HTTPS. But
Hmm.
you, when I'm trying to do a remote communication, when I'm trying to take a session, I should ensure that I'm flexible enough to deliver the session either using a GoToMeeting, either using a WebEx, or either trying to do a classroom session. I should be flexible enough. Similarly, the web server wasn't flexible enough to support a protocol independence, which was a prerequisite for your EJB and RMI. Because when they're trying to do a remote communication, they can try to use an HTTP or they can try to use any of the TCP IP based protocols. So your server should have a capability to be protocol independent. Since that wasn't there in the web server, that was one of the driving factor for the evolution of the application server. So if you want to define the term application server, I can define the term application server as an protocol independent server which can execute any business logic inside it with the added advantages of executing being a EJB container, resource pooling, transaction management, log management, security, data source, multiple things are there in the application server, unlike your web server. Clear? Not clear?
Yeah, partially it is clear. So
May I know
I
the
will
gap?
go through one. Yeah, I will go through once again. So I will come back
Sure.
with the. So and one more thing, like so, application server have that all the facilities and all the features. So research. You also mentioned that there are some advantages. The research doing that one or two point 3 points disadvantage, and they come over with those advantages right now in application server. So for
Hmm.
example, integration with that another device. So is the ultimate server or research are still going research on this application server?
Okay. Our scope of the session was related only to the application server, so I restricted only with the application server. But if you see the companies like Oracle and IBM, they have something called as a process server. They have something called as a portal server. They have something called as a commerce server. What are all the servers? These are the servers that are built on top of your application servers. Did you anytime worked on any of these products?
Yeah, commerce means like commerce servers means like by using the Flipkart, Amazon, so they Google.
Uh, no. One that is one of the use case. Okay, let's leave the discussion. It's something like the human being evolution. Okay,
Mm.
the from different stages. Now the latest mammal on the earth is your human being. So do we have any next level of people other than the normal human beings? We have something called as an X-man.
Mm.
Okay, don't. I mean, it's a couple of. If you try to do a quick research on the Google, people tend to say that they see a person who are next level of human beings. They generally call them as an X-Men, probably because of that movie name. But yeah, it's something like that. Okay.
Okay.
How about others? Kirti, Aditya, Divya, anyone, any questions? I try to make the concept little generalized. I try to
And one,
ensure that, yeah,
okay, understand.
yeah, Raja.
So, in the coming sessions, do we configure any like application like Microsoft or SharePoint? Do we configure with this application server
No,
in going session? No. Okay.
no.
Do do I get some idea like how to configure those things in this by going through these sessions?
Any specific reason?
Not specific reason, like we want to understand that concept like in the JBoss application server. Because
Okay.
it is useful for that in the going forward, right? For my career or for other career as well.
See, SharePoint, okay, the other things that are there, these are completely different. They are not deployed as an applications. They come as part of the integration technologies. So
Hmm.
while trying to talk about the JBoss, I'll talk about the JMS, which is one of the integration layer using which you
Hmm.
can try to integrate with the JMS.
JMS will come with the JBoss only, right? It's one of the module in the
Yes,
JBoss application server.
yes,
It's already
yes,
configured. It's inbuilt module. So, like,
yes.
can we integrate with another module with the JBoss?
Example.
Uh, a messaging service is there, like email service is there, like that. Any just want to integrate one module with the JBoss just for idea only. So we will expand with that knowledge. We will try to like configure any other like say for example Microsoft Office is there. Can we
Mhm.
integrate with it? Or like a Facebook login page or Outlook login page.
Those are all the layers you try to build on. See, you deploy an application. I'll give a
Hmm.
simple use case. Uh, okay, let me take this example. Anytime you heard about the chatbots?
No. I-
Okay. Mm, okay, let's take this one. You try to visit the pages like, let's say that you want to learn something on the cloud. So you can try to visit the sites called as in udemy.com or acloudguru.com. So what they do, they say that, hey, do you want to register ourselves or do you want to use any of the credentials from your LinkedIn or from the Gmail? Anytime you came across those kind of a scenarios, you try to access some site, you try to want to download some material. When you try to access them, the site says that, okay, register with us or help us to authenticate or access the information from your LinkedIn or from your Gmail or from your Facebook. Anytime you came across those kind of a scenarios, not clear, I think. Let me explain it once again.
No,
Okay.
actually, I do not get such a kind of development in my career. So just
If you see the udemy.com, let's take a simple use case of a udemy.com. Okay. So if I want to take any course inside the udemy.com, I have to register. Either I have to register or I can use my existing Gmail account to register myself in the Udemy without going through the login process. So what exactly is happening up in the background is that, assuming that Udemy application is being deployed on a group of JBoss application server, inside the Java code, the developer makes an API call to the APIs that are being exposed by the Gmail or a Facebook or a LinkedIn and try to pass on the credentials which are given to that particular vendor so that the integration happens to those backend services and authentication happens. Similarly, over here also, whatever the SharePoint applications or what are the Office XP application happen, this happens at your application level, not at your container level. Container is your JBoss, application is your application which you deploy on top of your containers. Clear? Still, if you have some
mm,
questions? Probably we can take it little offline in the benefit of the time.
Okay.
Was your question answered?
Yeah, it's an answer, but like ultimately we want to use those APIs, and I want to know the procedure of all those things.
See, that one will be covered as part of your development course, not as part of the admin module.
Admin. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Mm.
So how about others? Anyone? Any questions? Aditya, Divya, Kirti. Am I clear? Anyone? Any questions?
No, it's clear.
Awesome. Great. So silence, I'll assume. Aditya and Divya, you're also good. So let me continue. So we know what is meant by the term application server. We know how did the term application server came into the market, and we know what is meant by the term application server. Now let's try to understand what is meant by JBoss application server. JBoss application server is nothing but, okay, it's an application server. Okay, how I'm trying to define the term JBoss application server. The JBoss application server is an 100% Java G2W compliant application server. Sure, what do you mean by 100% Java G2W compliant application server? When the term application server was being introduced into the market, it was something like a real estate in post the division of Andhra and Telangana. Okay, how the real estate market was there in the Andhra, the same was a scenario when the term application server was being introduced. Everyone started saying that, hey, this is a place where you get your capital city. This is a place where you get the capital city. In a similar way, when the term application server was being introduced, everyone started labeling the server as an application server. Then Sun Microsystems said that, okay, to qualify, to certify a particular server as an application server, these are the process, these are the procedures you need to follow. Your JBoss application server 100% is in compliant to those standards, to those guidelines, and that's the reason I say it is 100% Java JTW compliant application server. So your JBoss application server, which was an application, which is an application server, is an 100% Java J2W compliant application server. But again, couple of things. Unlike your WebSphere or WebLogic or any of the other server, with reference to the JBoss application server, you need to understand two important things called as an JBoss Standard Edition, JBoss Enterprise Edition. Sure, what is this Standard Edition and Enterprise Edition? Okay, Standard Edition or Enterprise Editions are nothing but the two flavors of your JBoss application server. Shiva, what do you mean by that? Very simple. The JBoss, when it was introduced into the market, it was introduced into the market in its early days as an open source technology. Like how we have Tomcat, like how we have the Apache web server. Similarly, when the term JBoss was being introduced into the market, it was introduced under the portal called as an jboss.org, which was an open source community. Okay, and as the market was getting evolved to a more and more cost effective solution, people were trying to think of what is the next best application server other than WebLogic and WebSphere. Because of the good features that are there in the product of the JBoss, everyone started trying to use the JBoss application server in their companies, okay, in their implementations. Seeing the growth in the market, Red Hat has started doing one thing. What they did is that for every end version of your JBoss application server coming out of the jboss.org, called as a standard edition, they used to release the N-1 N-1 version of your JBoss application server. Let me repeat myself. The JBoss application server, when it was being introduced into the market, it was introduced as an open source project. What do I mean by open source project? I mean to say that, okay, it is available at free of cost. Anyone and everyone can download it without paying at least 1 NP. But the problem with this one was that if you try to use it, okay, in your environments, and if you're stuck with any issue, the Red Hat people would be, the JBoss people would be helpless. Okay, you post your question, they might respond you in the next minute, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 10 days, 1 month, or they'll not at all respond. You can't demand them for a solution. But with the kind of the market that was growing for the JBoss application server, Red Hat people took that N version of the standard edition and they released an enterprise copy. What is so special about the enterprise copy? With a few very minute changes, they started saying this is a licensed product. If you try to buy from the Red Hat, will not only give you this product, but will also help you to support the product in case of any concerns. So that particular copy, which was released from the Red Hat, we call it as an enterprise edition or sometimes EAP. So for N version of the standard or the open source copy, we'll have an N-1 version of the enterprise edition. So if someone is saying JBoss standard edition or JBoss enterprise edition, try to relate it. Standard edition is the one that is being available in the companies at free of cost. Okay, downloaded from the jboss.org previously, and now wildfly.org. Enterprise edition is the enterprise copy. You get it from the company called as in Red Hat with a predefined license to that, where you have to pay the money and get the product. The biggest advantage with this enterprise edition is that you get a SLA based defined product. Clear, not clear? Shrikant, Raja, sorry,
Clear.
Kirti, Raja, Aditya, Divya. Silence can assume everyone is clear.
Yeah, clear. It's clear. Yeah.
Excellent. How about others? Kirti or Aditya or Divya?
It's clear after mine.
Perfect. Perfect. So this was the history. This was how the JBoss application server was being evolved. And with reference to my training, okay, I'll be training you all on EAP, JBoss EAP 6.4. Okay, the latest version which companies are using currently in the market is slowly I hear one or two scenarios related to the 7, but I do train on the JBoss EAP 6.4. Clear? Don't worry about the software, don't worry about the other things. Just email me on my Gmail ID. This is my Gmail ID. Okay, drop me a test email only and only from your Gmail ID, so that, okay, tomorrow when I'm trying to start the session, you'll have the software available for you. When you're trying to drop an email to me, let me know if you have a Linux VM or not. If it is not there, I'll share you the Linux VM as well as the documentation. How do we configure that along with the JBoss application server? Okay, I think during the demo, I remember one person asking me to do the lab on the Windows based operating system. Yes, for the concepts which I do on the Linux, I'll try to show you even on the Windows. Anyone, any questions, any queries till here? Cool. Silence, I'll assume no questions. So I kept it in the chat window also, my Gmail ID. Drop me an email. And Kirti, small request from your side. Okay, when you're trying to reach me up through the Gmail, just share me your contact number so that I can add you into the WhatsApp group. So that for any reason and every reason, I need to add some communication, you get updated about the information. Clear?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you.
Excellent. So if you have any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, we're good. Okay, for today's session. Tomorrow we'll try to start about the installation of the JBoss application server. What are the different ways of doing the installation? And I'll show you the lab related to the same in tomorrow's session. Clear? Great.
Yeah,
Silence.
Shiva, can
Yeah.
you send us the recording of the training?
Yep. When you're trying to get added into the WhatsApp group, we have one consultant by name Vasu. Who keeps on updating the WhatsApp group, okay, with the recordings of each and every day session.
Okay, sure.
Cool. And guys, I forgot to say this. Yeah. Once we are done with the session, Vasu will be sharing you the recordings of the everyday session. For any reason, if one or two people not available for the session, okay, after we are done waiting for a grace period, we'll continue the session, and the missed out persons can refer to the recording before coming to the next session. Okay, great. Thanks everyone. Hope to see you all in the next session. Bye everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night and good day. Bye.
Thanks.